Alright, you fucking cunts. We're here to talk about Motorhead. And of course, clowns are fucking Motorhead. So get fucked, you, and sit back and listen, you fucking assholes.
Oh, hi. We're back with part 2 of the long-awaited Attack of the Clones. And of course, as Lemmy so exquisitely put it, we're talking about Motorhead clones. So, I mean, is there a more important or influential hard rock / metal / punk band than Motorhead? It's debatable. So, not surprisingly, Motorhead has spawned its fair share of clones. I'm going to talk about 5 different clone bands that are all in my collection. Obviously, this is not an exhaustive list of Motorhead clone bands. I'm not talking about bands that are like Motorhead mixed with Venom per se, because there are a ton of bands. I'm just focusing on bands that are pretty much exclusively focusing on some serious Motorhead worship. So, without further ado, we'll get started. I'm not going to tell you what we're listening to at the moment, because I'm going to go in chronological order of Motorhead-inspired bands. But first, raise a glass to Lemmy, R.I.P. Also for Shane MacGowan, who passed away here about a little over a week ago. Rest in peace, man. Fucking the Pogues, an incredible band. Definitely a great, kind of, he was involved in the punk scene, the Nip Drivers, and then, of course, the Pogues. So, cheers to Lemmy, cheers to Shane. Okay. Chronological order. So we're going to start with probably the most well-known of these bands that would be heavily Motorhead influenced, also from the UK. And another recently passed away, L.G. Ward, Tank. This is the second album, Power of the Hunter. This is an original press of this record. Came out in 1982, the same year as Phil Pounds of Hades, another great Tank record. So L.G. was in The Saints. I'm drawing a blank on the other band that he was in, the other famous punk band that he came from. Of course, like I said, The Saints. I don't know, and I'm drawing a blank. But, so Tank started in, I think, 1980, 81. And, just really good, driving, kind of more rock and roll, metal influenced punk, if you will, There's, and the early Tank records really do lean heavily into the Motorhead sound, and they are also a power trio like Motorhead as well. I mean, really, any of the 80s era Tank records are great. Like I said, I really like Phil Pounds of Hades and Power of the Hunter. You can't go wrong with either one of them, so I'll take this out. Of course, like I said, because it's an OG, it's black vinyl. Let me see if I can get it out here. Yeah, there's the back. Running down the road there. Some banger tracks like Walking Barefoot Over Glass, Pure Hatred, the song T.A.N.K., Used Leather, Hanging Loose, Crazy Horses, and then the title track, Power of the Hunter. There's some other songs too, but those are just some of my faves. The rundown. Just hard driving, kind of new wave of British heavy metal, Motorhead influenced rock and roll. Can't go wrong. So that is the first one on the list there. Then we're going to go with the band that was heavily heralded in like Krang and Metal Hammer back in the day, and was supposed to be the next big thing but never really took off. This is their first record, another UK band. This is Rogue Male with First Visit. This is a CD repress on Metal Mind. It is one of the gold disc editions here. You got some interesting, you got the cyborg kind of David Bowie mullet-looking dude on the cover. This band is pretty much, I would say, out of all these bands, the most, just derivative of Motorhead. They don't have a whole lot else to their sound. It's catchy, and it's fun, but, man, there's not really an ounce of originality in this. So you've got the first song, Crazy Motorcycle, which just lets you know right off the bat that what's in store for you, which is just 4 on the Floor, Motorhead, rock and roll, All Over You, First Visit, Get Off My Back, Dressed Incognito, Unemployment, kind of a vague, probably the punkiest sounding tune, all about, kind of being on the dole in the UK. On the Line, Devastation, and Lookout. And there's a couple bonus tracks on this as well. The Real Me and All Over You. So I've never heard the second record. I haven't actually listened to this in quite a while. I got this probably 15, 16 years ago because I had read about them in an article, and then I just came across this. And like I said, it's fun, it's entertaining, but it really is kind of like for diehard Motorhead fans only, because there's not really a whole lot of unique stuff to it. So give you a look there. Well, like I said, they did one other album after this, and that was the end of them, because it just didn't really catch on. Okay, now we'll get to another band. You know what? I already fucked up and jumped out of place. This is another band that actually should have been after Tank and probably about the same time as this. So you've got the French band Volcane with Rock and Roll Secours. This is a 1984, 85, because I think it was originally released in France in 84 and then got a wider release in 1985. This is a 2019 Season of Mist reissue. This band would go on to be a lot less Motorhead sounding. This is their first album. And it's, like I said, this definitely has kind of that speed metal vibe and the Motorhead New Wabum kind of punky vibe. They're a 4-piece though, so they've got some leads and stuff like that, which, you didn't hear as much in Motorhead, But they sing. A bunch of the songs are in French. They have a few songs. They have a few songs that are in English. Overdose, a song called Ebony. Everything else, though, is in French. You got Le King, Le Damné, Puis le Oufant. I mean, my French is horrible. I don't speak French, so. But this is just, hard driving rock and roll. Like I said, a little bit speed metal-y, and these guys would go on to kind of like cut out a little more of their own path and be a fairly successful metal band. But this first record is very like on the Motorhead tip, and pretty cool cover there. You got the flaming moon with the chains breaking off there, but really good French band, Volcane. All right, so then I already covered Rogue Mail, so then we're jumping into the 2000s here, and we'll talk about what we're listening to. Super Christ. This is, I believe, the 5th Super Christ record. This is Headbanger. Came out in 2007. This is on Professor Black, of course. So Chris Maycock, Professor Black of Metal Maniacs fame, and of course Chris was in Dawnbringer, Pharaoh. He's currently in High Spirits, of course, Super Christ. He's been in a ton of bands. He plays bass and does vocals in this. Really fun, high-octane record. I'm sure there's the inside there. As you all know, Chris loves Motorhead and is probably one of the foremost, fans / experts on Motorhead, if you will. And this Super Christ was always kind of like his tribute to Motorhead. But this one, and you can tell, though, it has that very Professor Black vibe. You can, does it sound a bit like High Spirits? Yeah, it sounds like if High Spirits and Motorhead had a bastard child, in the best way possible, So the song we're listening to right now is called My Way's the Law. But, I mean, you've got some really awesome song titles. Electric Penis, which was the song before this. Fuck Like a Priest, Make Them Die, Eat the Evidence, all really catchy, fun songs. I also like the fact that the guy on the cover kind of looks like Matt Dillon. Like, he looks kind of like Matt Dillon, with like a mullet, or the other Dillon brother. that's in the remake of The Blob, and it looks almost exact. Kevin Dillon, yeah. Almost looks exactly like how Kevin Dillon looked in the Blob remake from 1988. Minus the leather, but with the mullet. Perfect. And got a bunch of zombies in the background there, and yeah. Kevin Dillon raising his fist in honor of heavy metal, so really, you can't go wrong with any Super Christ records, but this is a really catchy, banging thing, and one of the best, like, Motorhead influenced bands you're gonna hear. Alright, and then we're gonna jump to the most recent of these bands here. This is the only album they ever released. This band has gone on, some of the members of this band have gone on to do other things, but this is Speedwolf. This album came out in 2011. It is Ride with Death. There's the back there. This is on Hell's Headbangers, of course. So this is like a more high-octane thrash take on Metalhead. It's a faster, you know, it's almost like every song is kind of like more at the speed of like Ace of Spades. So it's it kind of leans into that element of really cool cover here where you've got the 3 band members is like werewolves riding motorcycles, or 4 band members and like the Grim Reaper in the background. So really catchy stuff, really fun. I think these guys, I don't know, they had a kind of an acrimonious split, so I don't know if this will ever be repressed. I think there's a lot of bad blood between some of the members, so I don't know how much this goes for on the secondary market, but probably way too fucking much, because that's kind of what happens when stuff stays out of print, so the collector prices drive it up. I bought this when it first came out in 2011, and it's definitely a fun record to spin. I don't have the vinyl or anything, I just bought it on CD, because I didn't know exactly what it was going to sound like, but it's good, it's catchy. And I know, like I said, Reed, who is from this band, has a label now, and he has another band as well, so worth checking out. Again, can't remember off the top of my head. I didn't really do the research on the other side of the post Speedwolf stuff. So that's what I've got as far as like the 5 bands that came to my mind that were like the most meaningful Motorhead clones in my collection. And I mean, some of them I would say they did for all provide some very worthy, you know, records. Like Volcane, like I said, went on to be a pretty awesome band in its own right. Tank had a really long career, you know, and I think there ended up being 2 versions of Tank, Algie Ward's version and the other 2 members' version. I mean, obviously, I assume their version is still going even after Algie's passing. You know, Super Christ did a lot of records, you know, like I said. Rogue Mail was kind of a flash in the pan. I haven't heard their second record. I mean, based on that first record, I probably don't need to. And by most accounts, that second record is a weaker version of what they did on the first one. And Speedwolf, a good one and done. I don't know if there would have been a whole lot more they could have done with that sound, but it's a fun, catchy record. So I would honestly say any of the aforementioned bands that I've shown tonight are worth checking out. None of them are duds. They all at least, because, you know, Motorhead's just got a classic formula, and you know, who doesn't love Motorhead? Like I said, I've got almost every record of Motorhead. I mean, I could basically do probably an entire 45-minute video just talking about my Motorhead collection, but you don't need to see that. So I'm gonna pull the plug there, and we're gonna let Lemmy have the final word once again.
Alright, now you heard about all the bands that fucking Motorhead inspired. Now go out there and listen to the real McCoy, you fucking cunts.
I think that says it best. I'm going to let you go. Have a good night. And thanks for joining me in the Ninth Circle.